Well, forget your teal tidal wave. Those 6 victors had the advantage of access to $12 million of support from billionaire Simon Holmes à Court, not to mention the 66,000 strong army of Get Up supporters as well. The real personal feat in this election is the apparent victory to independent Di Lee in the seat of Fowler, where despite Labor's best intentions, their overwhelming dominance of this seat for many decades and the frequent big Labor names to land in the electorate during the campaign, parachuted candidate Kristina Keneally was defeated. Not an easy feat considering how late in the piece Di Lee joined the hustings and the mud that was thrown in her direction in that final week. The Keneally conqueror, Di Lee, joins me right now. Di, terrific to have your company. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations in advance of the official ruling. How did you do this? How did you get into this contest at such a late stage?
Look, Chris, thanks for having me on your program. Look, I think people see it as a late stage, it's a 5-week campaign, but in actual fact, as I have said over and over, my roots are planted there in our community, in this, in the area of Fowler. I grew up there, I live there, I work there. So in the past 12 years, I'm a councillor and now a deputy mayor. So I'm there constantly interacting and connecting with my community and fighting for them, as you know, during lockdown. So politicians campaign right up to the election, before the election, but for me, it's not a campaign. For me, it's about constantly out there engaging and communicating with my community, and I do it ongoingly. So that's probably why, what we saw, what happened at this election.
But this was an enormous mountain to climb for you. You got there late. There's a up to 15% margin in that seat until last night. You must have had doubts about whether you could do it or not.
Absolutely. Everybody have told me that it's Mount Everest, and of course, you give your best shot. You get into this and you want to win, but it's a very high, peak to climb. But I wanted to really fight for my community, and I really, you play to win, but it is a scary and a very overwhelming challenge in front of me, and I didn't think I could take the big giant down, because especially the big giant machinery of the Labor Party, and of course in Kristina Keneally, a former Premier of New South Wales, a Senator, who've got so much resources, who've got so much backing, and here a simple me, I think about me being a refugee on the boat, escaping Vietnam on a boat, and here I am taking on this big giant. I know it's probably a crazy move, right, for many people, but I felt I had to do it. I felt I had to give a voice to this community that has been neglected, abandoned, and really has been taken for granted by the major parties, and in particular the Labor Party, who've owned this seat for so long.
And then disrespected as well, Di Lee, disrespected as well by thinking that they could parachute someone in from Scotland, Ireland, a different cultural, social machination to the one around Cabramatta Fairfield, and think they could get away with it.
Absolutely, and I think that's a lot of the voters who came and voted have said this to me, expressed that they were insulted. And these are Labor Party voters who voted Labor all their lives. They couldn't see themselves to vote for Kristina Keneally, and they felt that they were insulted that the Labor Party would parachute somebody from the northern beaches, into our southwest, into an area that was locked down, into an area that got discriminated and got demonised very much, as you can remember, during the lockdown period, and so therefore they felt like that it was a slap in the face for them.
Yeah. I spent my childhood in the Cabramatta Fairfield area, and I think the people in your electorate have been waiting 4 decades to have a Vietnamese community leader represent them in Canberra.
Look, I have to thank my Vietnamese Australian community. We do have a large percentage of the Vietnamese Australian there, and they came out in droves to support me. But in addition, it is a very multicultural community, Chris, as you know now, very diverse. So therefore, other community groups as well have came out to support me, and I'm very grateful for that. And the volunteers, by the way, from Queensland flying in, Melbourne flying in, Newcastle, Northern Beaches, Eastern Suburbs, who came actually to support me, because as it's just me really and my small team, and of course the independent mayor Frank Carboni backed me strongly. My husband, my family, my friends, my council colleagues, the independent council colleagues who got elected at the last council election were there for me. So it's a grassroots movement. It's a community movement that got us to where we are today.
What about Kristina Keneally? Has she said anything to you in the last 24 hours?
No, I have not received any calls or anything yet from the former senator, and I'm yet to hear from her. I know that we are ahead, but obviously everybody's saying, oh, you've won, but I can't, of course, claim anything until actually the other side have conceded, and also to have, I have not heard from anybody from the Labor Party.
A mammoth effort. Congratulations on what you've achieved, no matter how it works out. And thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thanks, Chris.
There you go. Di Lee. That is a David and Goliath story, if any story comes out of this particular election.